Hello.
Hello. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too. For everybody that doesn't know, this is Olesia Guts. Fantastic last name for a holistic nutritionist.
Yep.
We both work out of the same clinic in downtown Vancouver at Evoke, so welcome. And we go for lunch sometimes, and we have these like the most epic conversations, and we always joke that we should probably record them. So here we are.
Yeah, finally.
I know it's something we've talked about for quite a while now.
Yeah.
But thank you for sitting down and agreeing to do this.
Thank you for doing this, even though you have a thumb injury.
We'll talk about that later. Yeah, so I think one of the things that I wanted to get into, I know you wanted to get
Oh,
into,
yeah.
is that sure, I'm a naturopathic doctor, you're a holistic nutritionist, and we sit day in and day out with people and we give them advice on how to feel better, how to be healthier.
Yep.
But one of our biggest pet peeves is that people aren't missing the knowledge piece of this, right?
A lot of the time. Yeah.
Oh, sometimes they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
But I would argue actually more rarely are people missing knowledge.
Yeah.
It's actually the mindset and the reason why people don't actually make change
Yeah.
that is like the biggest part of both our practices.
Exactly.
So if you want to maybe just start with your own story, and I'm
Sure.
sure people would love to hear it.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah. So I was actually writing about this yesterday on my Instagram. And I've kind of for already a couple of years have been exploring the connection between people's perception of their self-worth
Mm.
with how they can or cannot follow through with a diet plan or lifestyle plan. I also wanted to say before we start, like to your point, that a lot of people know what they need to do and they kind of don't need more knowledge. I think the idea that they do need more knowledge comes from this like top of the
Funnel.
funnel,
Mhm.
this idea that like, oh, if only I knew like that one extra supplement, this would make a huge difference. And
Yes.
all of this is just, there is this idea like in business and in health that only 20% of what you do makes a difference for
Mm.
like 80% of your health or your business, right?
Yeah.
Everything else is just noise and whatever, micromanaging. And I think like that's where it's coming from really is people think that that little bit of knowledge, that kind of cream on top of
All
the
the time.
yeah will make a huge difference, but it really doesn't. We know that it
We know that it
doesn't.
doesn't. I think, and because we're here and we're gonna have an epic lunchtime, even though we're not eating, because that would just be annoying for the mics conversation. I'm gonna go into this, and I'm gonna try not to rant before you get into your story.
Okay.
But I think, like, I actually reflect on this so much, and I think it comes back to the fact that, like, from the very beginning, we've been told to outsource stuff,
Yeah.
and that the answer exists outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
And so there's all these systems set up, various ones throughout our society, that basically not make us, but make it easy for us to try to reach to all these external things.
Yeah.
And so people come in often to see me because they're like, I tried either a prescription or something more conventional. It's either not aligned with what I want or it didn't work. And so I'm looking for an alternative.
Yeah.
So, for example, people will say, oh, I took Advil. I want a natural alternative. I Googled it. It gave me turmeric. And I'm like, oh boy, we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Because it's not, and not that there's anything wrong with that perspective and approach, but like that's not how I practice.
Yeah.
And that's why we get along, because that's not how you practice either.
Exactly.
It's just like to think we're going more natural. So I'm just using an example because it's easy.
Yeah.
Advil to turmeric, right?
Yeah.
Not that they're identical or anything, but that's what most people think. They're going more natural, so it's better.
Yeah.
And like, first of all, not always better. Second of all, can we figure out why you have so much damn inflammation in the first place?
Exactly.
And then actually just work on the root cause instead of band-aiding it, because sure, you're not relying on a prescription anymore in this made up example,
Yeah.
but now you're relying on a supplement, which is still you basically becoming dependent on something outside of yourself.
Yeah.
And it bothers me so much. I'm like, why can't we just have a different way of thinking about this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then a lot of the time also when people like come and ask for for in my practice, a lot of people ask for a fiber supplement
No.
or
Berberine? I get berberine a lot.
yeah, berberine. Also, I mean, well, maybe get into like protein powders and stuff or grease powders. Yeah. Anyway, let's not.
We're gonna have multiple episodes, lunchtime chats with us.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but let's just take like fiber supplement. So there is a little sliver of people for whom I understand, like I assess their life. I'm like, okay, this is absolutely the only way we are for this time being gonna get fiber into you. So okay, we can go with this. But for majority of people, they would just get a supplement and then they don't build a habit.
Yeah.
Like they just instead of not, yes, maybe it will short term help them a little bit, but then once they kind of like decide that they're feeling well enough and like maybe start forgetting taking the supplement, they have not built a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Number one. And of course, number two, what people forget a lot of the time is that yes, like we absolutely need fiber 100%. And as a society, we don't need nearly enough, but we also need like the packaging, right? That fiber comes in, which is, our antioxidants, our phytonutrients, like everything, the vitamins, the bioflavonoids, and a lot of other important words and
love
things.
me a bioflavonoid.
Exactly.
If people
right?
don't know what that is, we're talking like antioxidants. Think like eat the rainbow, bright colored foods.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like a vitamin C story when it's like, oh, how much should I supplement with vitamin C? And I'm like, well, I mean, yeah,
All the time. I get that question.
exactly. And you're like, you need bioflavonoids to actually.
And they're like, what's a bioflavonoid? I'm like, I'm so excited to teach you this. I'm in the right spot. I was gonna say with the fiber thing, do you give people a timeline? Because I usually do. I'm like, here's your supplement for 3 months.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, what do you mean I can't take it forever? And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
because I want you to build healthy habits. Like,
Absolutely.
my goal is to give people freedom. And that doesn't always look like depending on stuff. It doesn't mean this is bad though.
Yeah.
I have supplements that I take. I'm sure you have some that you take. Like,
Right.
yeah, I mean, we both probably have cupboards full at this point. But the point I'm trying to make is that they're not a replacement. And I think that's what you're saying too.
Exactly. Not a replacement, and especially like, and it's almost like you can break it down into two things, right? They're not like a full replacement for a food, but they're also not a replacement for building that habit.
Mm-hmm.
And then to the, going back to the topic of our conversation about, self-worth.
This is going to be a theme over here.
Oh yeah, it will be 100%. But like I can't get through a conversation without clearing off. But everything is relevant.
It
That's
is
good.
Yeah. So self-worth.
Yeah, and so and I think like coming back to the topic of the self-worth is like, well, why are we not building the habits? And a lot of us, sometimes myself included, can say things, oh, I don't have time. Right?
Yeah.
But then, of course, once we maybe do a time audit and we see, oh, how much time did I spend on my Instagram? Well, how much time did I spend doing things for other people that I really am not supposed to be doing? How much time? So when I started really exploring this topic, because I was really, really curious for my clients, but also for myself in the past, because I was, as I shared on Instagram, like I was very, very sick for many years.
Yeah, tell your story if people are listening, hopped in, and they don't follow you yet, or they're like, what is she talking about for self-worth?
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's start with my story. So basically I in 2013, I got very, very sick with a lot of ailments. I have a ulcer, like a really big one.
Oh gosh.
And for context, I was like, what, 21?
Yeah.
So I was very young. Yeah, I was very young. I just moved to New York City, so I had a very stressful life. I just got married to my first husband, my ex-husband, and which is, I guess, relevant in this kind of
Yeah, it is. I mean, hey, I'm all about sharing whatever you want, but I think it is relevant to your health, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and and I basically, I was kind of thrown into this life of, I mean, I didn't really know how to live it properly at all, and I also didn't really have much like of the modeling of the life. So I really was just learning everything for the first time for myself, and I had a very demanding job. I worked as a chef. I had like 14-hour shifts, um,
Oof.
sometimes 6 times a week, so say 6 days a week. And yeah, and I was just, I was trying to do my job to the best of my abilities. Before that, I studied in France. Learned how to be a proper chef at the Le Cordon Bleu and stuff like this. So it was very, like high stakes kind of thing. And then, of course, my first marriage, and I was very excited to be like the wife.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I think what also happened at the time is that I'm originally from Ukraine, so we have one kind of worldview of how things should be and how women should be. That's a whole different
I was
topic.
just gonna say though, if we backtrack 2 steps, you said I wanted to be the wife.
Yeah,
So there was clearly value that
yeah,
you held in being an amazing wife
yeah,
that equated to you being a good person or what, like
exactly,
what there was a belief system there that was actually affecting your health.
exactly,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. And this is like, yeah, and so when I got really sick, my first question, of course, was like, oh my God, like, what's wrong with me, right? Like,
Hmm.
and I went on to, I don't know, 10, 15 different doctors. I got all
Wow.
kinds of scans, MRIs, whatever. So I got an ulcer first and I developed prediabetes. For context, I was like 125 pounds.
But can we just talk about like stress impacting glucose?
Oh, yeah.
And
No,
everybody
absolutely.
comes in and is
Absolutely.
always like, do I need ashwagandha? And I'm like, oh, there's so much more we're going to talk about. But this is a great example. You're in your
Yeah.
early 20s, your body was fairly thin,
Yeah.
etc., right?
Yeah.
And your blood sugar's going up.
Yeah, my blood sugar was crazy. And that's why a lot of people, who come to me right now and they're like, oh, but like I have, great weight or whatever optimal weight, my dream weight, and
Mm.
there's no way I can be pre-diabetic. I'm like, well, it actually totally, absolutely, certainly is. Yeah, yeah.
Well, let me tell you my own story.
Exactly. So yeah, so basically, so I developed a lot of like a really, really long list. That's actually keep joking that like I was so good at pathology classes because I was like, cut it and that and this.
You would have passed my pathology class. I'm just saying.
So yeah, and I really like. I mean, I went to so many doctors. I got so many prescriptions. I also got so much really weird advice. Like when I went to a doctor with what turned out I then had H. pylori and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
the ulcer was coming from, I guess, a mix of H. pylori and immense stress.
Mm.
And I went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, "Yeah, you just basically should cut out all foods and just eat water-based oatmeal for the next 3 months."
I don't even have comment on that.
And I was like, and I was 22 already at the time, and I was like, okay, like I
Well, of
guess
course because you're gonna listen. You've been to somebody you're seeking out advice for.
exactly, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
boy.
yeah. So anyway, and I mean, it just kept on going. This whole story kind of, the physiological ailments kind of spilled out into the psychological and emotional
Mm.
health, and it's been a huge journey. Basically, I mean, honestly, I would say like it's finalized itself just like this year when I'm like, okay, I feel amazing.
I
But
love
it,
that.
it took, thank you.
Yeah, we do.
It took a long time, and I really always like try to bring back the story and just reflect, as much as possible on it and figure out like what was the root cause, because a lot of people were like, well, you're from like I'm from Ukraine, so I got really good idea of like which foods were healthy or not so much, and I've grown up with like eating tons of vegetables and fruit and
Hmm.
fiber and protein wasn't the so I was really like the from the nutrition side was really all covered. Now I've had a long history of like going on crazy diets, so
Hmm.
that's a whole different story, but I've had like the knowledge about like what's good. I wasn't like maybe starting my day with like a giant pizza and a
McDonald's.
extra large Starbucks frappuccino, you know what I mean?
Yeah, all the processed stuff, right? Like I
Yeah,
think we're talking, and it's not to like shout out specific companies. It's
yeah,
more like whole foods,
yeah.
things that come from the earth, the fruits, the vegetables, versus just doing the quick stops and the processed stuff wherever that is, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, so I really was like reflecting all of it, and And then, of course, seeing some of my clients' cases, I also started reflecting on patterns that were like really, really similar to me and like really resonated. And So I kind of backtracked it to, what is the root cause of the root cause of the root cause?
Love, love, and love again. Yes.
And what I found for myself was like, okay, so let's say, yes, I definitely got so sick because I was like getting, 4 or 5 hours sleeps max for several years, right?
So little.
I know, yeah.
My whole soul just went.
I know, it's like, oh, yeah, no, I know. So the sleeps, right? And then it's like, yeah, I knew like a fair amount about whole foods, and I cooked I was a chef for many years, so I cooked for myself. But then I would skip my lunches because and then it was like, why?
Were you too busy, quote unquote?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Quote
that's my
unquote.
quote right now. I can't.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I was too busy. I was too busy. Why? Right. And so when I started kind of unfolding this thing, I realized that, okay, well, I really didn't sleep enough, not because I didn't have time. It was because I had this belief that I had to, after a 14-hour shift, I had to wake up at 7 a.m. to cook a breakfast for my, at the time, husband, because what? Because I was supposed to be like a good wife. So what is good wife? And so I started really kind of, digging into this whole thing. And then I realized, like, so the question behind the question behind the question of why I was doing this is what was my percent, like, what was my self worth at the time? And then I realized that one thing that, that was really a common denominator in all of those things is when I really didn't believe that I was worth that extra hour of sleep. I was worth to tell everyone, like the restaurants that I worked at, they wouldn't just, go out of business if I took an extra 30 minutes to eat a proper lunch. Like nobody would die.
No, and I would argue you would be a better chef
Exactly.
if you were nourished and didn't have hypoglycemia.
Exactly. If I wasn't like about to pass out.
Totally, you would be functioning better.
Exactly. Absolutely. And so, and that was just when I started digging, and then I realized that a lot of the time, the stories that we tell ourselves, like, oh, I can't do this because I have to. And I'm like, all of those I have tos, like, what is the, and of course, I also want to, when I kind of teach my clients to how to think through that kind of a problem, I always say, look, there's definitely times in life and in your day when you have obligations. Like, I'm not saying that there is none, but you really have to do the audit of those obligations and see which ones are the real thing that is gonna really matter to other people. Because a lot of the things that I did for other people, no one ever asked me for.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, I have to.
Well, there's two things. One, there's which obligations are necessary and which obligations are stories that I'm telling myself in my head are have tos. And they are not necessarily true, which is really hard to hear for most people because it requires no blame towards self. And then when you're struggling with self worth, I think it's very easy to project that blame externally because putting it internally feels so vomity, horrific,
Exactly.
right? I think that's one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
Second one, don't remember what I was gonna say. So just keep going, it'll come back to me.
Well, and and what's interesting though, then when I've kind of like at some point, I've started realizing, oh, okay, like maybe I am really doing too much for my ex-husband, and and not getting like any thank yous even in return. Not that it like, even if you are being thanked for things that you're doing and really overriding all of your,
Yeah.
physiological needs, is still like worth the thank you. I'd argue with that.
I'd argue with that too.
Yeah, but even when I started kind of being like, okay, maybe I should really slow down on those things, and honestly, my body was just deteriorating so fast.
Which, by the way, is its language of speaking to you
Oh, absolutely.
in a scream. I'm a firm believer the body will whisper,
Whisper before it speaks.
right?
Yep.
And then it will like talk to you sternly, like a grandfather type of energy.
Exactly.
And then it will yell at you.
Yeah.
And then it will scream. And when the body starts to break down, it really is like a, hey, I don't speak English, but I speak symptoms. Like, listen to me. And we're just not trained to tune into it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like if you think about it, if I at the time thought listen to it when it was whispering, definitely would have costed me less time and money and
Yes,
effort and my
1000%.
life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the second thing I was going to say. It came back to me as you were talking. I was like, ding, 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 there it is. What you said about, so like the wanting to be a good wife, and I think, and maybe you can speak more to this, but um, I think this is such a deep, like feminine wound we have in our society. Yeah. And yeah, what I see in a lot of people that I've worked with over the years and just culturally and as a society is that women have this nurturing ability and it is a skill,
Yeah.
it is a beautiful thing,
Yeah.
and we need to value it. And in the same token, it's so easy for women to overgive. And then they get to a point where I've asked them, like, what did their day look like? Like, run me through a normal day. And it's everybody else. Like, moms are notorious for this. And I am not a mom. So I can't speak to how difficult it is to balance everyone else's needs and your own. But I can speak to what I've seen working with like so many moms by now. And it is get the child lunch or breakfast, get it all made. And then I'm like, what did you eat? And they're like, nothing. Right? All the time.
All the
And
time.
I think
Yeah.
this just goes, and like I said, I can completely like empathize, and I'm not in that position. So I'm not going to say it's easy. Right. But I will say that like it speaks to chop up extra 4 carrot slices,
Yeah.
4 for you, 2 for the kid, or whatever it is. Like there's, strawberries that are sitting there chopped up and you just gave them all away. So women have this like nurturing ability, but it almost becomes this everyone else matters. And there's this caregiving, not just for kids, for parents and siblings and other family members and our patients and whoever else is external. And I think women, one of the roots of I didn't have time is really there's an underlying belief that either we don't deserve it or that we have to people please, or that in order to be seen as high value or a good woman or whatever it is, other people go first and we go last. And it's such a collective wound that when we talk about eating healthier, finding time to freaking exercise, sleeping more, whatever it is, the underlying.
Yeah. And going back to like what I said about not having this modeling, right? Like not being the opposite modeled because it is such a collective one and because it's so deeply ingrained in society. And also that is the other side of the problem. That's what is expected from you. And when you start giving less, people freak out.
Yeah, this is so I guess I'll speak to it in a different way. I think it more comes from people's expectations of when you're used to giving, right? In a certain way, people expect you to continue giving that way. And when you finally make a decision of actually, and I had to learn this the hard way, and I'm still working on this, but boundaries. And the deepest I think form is to give from uh your cup being full instead of to give from depletion. And I think I used to give from depletion, and now I will give from capacity. And it was like a huge shift. But when I made that shift, I did get pushback from people in my life.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. But it's the people who have benefited from your depletion that are the ones that push back. The ones that are like, I want you to operate as the best version of you, and what you can give from capacity is also like a better frequency and a better energy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want somebody to cook me a meal. Like, let's take you as a chef from depletion. You haven't eaten lunch, you haven't slept more than 4 hours. Maybe you had a fight with somebody in your life, whatever it was. You go to work and you don't give a shit. Okay, it's my podcast. I can swear. You don't give a shit. You're exhausted, right? This is not you, but let's just back it up.
Yep.
You're probably gonna cook like the easiest, just sprinkle some salt on, like I don't know, put some like 4 little orange slices and be like, it's an appetizer. Like, you're gonna be so exhausted, you're not gonna want to provide. Versus if you had the time to sleep, eat, just be and feel awesome. If you were to cook somebody a meal now, you're gonna put so much freaking love and like care into that meal. That's the meal I want. I don't want the one from depletion.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay $20 for orange slices with salt.
Yeah, but also like even I mean if we go into a slightly different dimension, even it's like you want the energy of the food made for you to be a good energy.
Yes,
right?
yes. I can't remember, I was thinking about this yesterday actually. There was a movie, I can't remember which one it was, but it talked about the secret ingredient in grandma's whatever lasagna is
yeah,
love. And you're
yeah.
like, yeah, yeah, whatever, roll your eyes, right? But if you really think about it,
Oh yeah.
the food at Thanksgiving is so great.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's made with family and community and love and like it's not void of frequent. I know we're getting a little like on different dimensions right now, but it's not void of frequency. Like it, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I absolutely am with you on the giving from the full cup. And I think, I mean, this whole idea, right? Like more hours is better work. All
Said
that
who?
stuff, like that was, I think it was just so kind of drilled into people's heads, especially.
It's conditioning.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like even in the movies, like think
Oh,
about,
I know when I watch movies now, like I don't know if you've ever gone back and watched an old Disney movie. I don't know if you grew up with Disney movies.
oh, absolutely.
Okay. What was like what was like your favorite Disney movie as a kid?
Oh my goodness. Probably. Oh, it's so many. I don't know where to start.
What were the
The
top?
Beauty and the Beast,
Oh yeah, that was a good one. I like
Yeah.
that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, top like 3, Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast. Then second one is Toy Story Disney.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
What is it?
I'm
I feel
pretty
like
sure
it's Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved Toy Story. So I had a few VHS tapes.
Yeah, me too. We're aging ourselves.
And I had like literally 4. And like 3 out of 4 were my favorite. And I would play them over
On
and
repeat.
over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think like I remember Ariel.
Oh my God, yes, Ariel would be third. Yes, absolutely. Ariel.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Beauty and the Beast. We had plates growing up. Shout out to my mom for this. We had these Disney plates growing up. My brother had a Hercules one. It's funny that I remember his and I don't remember mine.
Conditioning.
Yeah, conditioning, right? I was like, I want to be the strong. Yeah. All right, we're getting where my patterns lie. I have to ask my mom. I want to say it was Jasmine from
nice.
Aladdin. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
But the point is, if you go back and watch old Disney movies, like Cinderella, even,
Yeah.
right? There's so much conditioning that I think we really got ingrained
absolutely.
into us.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
like absorb it as a sponge. You're like, oh, this, like even with Beauty and the Beast, like she was before she met him, she was
Ooh.
like working extra hard and taking care of her dad and like and then like she was trying to escape to go save her dad and I'm like, dude, chill.
Yeah, I like that. Dude,
Seconds.
chill out. Well, you know what's interesting? I talked to a friend about this again, like maybe like a month ago, a couple weeks ago. And I was like, and he asked me, he's like, how did she end up in the castle with the beast in the first place? And I was like, I don't know, he probably captured her or something. And then we went and looked it up, and I'm like, oh no, she offered to save her dad.
Yeah.
Like when we talk about feminine wounding,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, over giving.
Yeah.
So she was trying to pay off his debt
Yeah.
and like give at the expense of herself.
Yep. Yeah.
Anyways, we've really taken like a woo,
Yeah.
and I love it.
I know, but it's really all like it all still comes back to
Like this is health at a root cause level, though.
Yeah.
We could sit here and we will one day talk about greens and protein powders and all the things because I'm sure people will want to know our opinions with how much years we've spent studying this stuff. But really, if we talk root cause, like it's this stuff. It's mindset, it's core beliefs, it's the places subconsciously we operate from and why we choose not to do things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I want to jump into because a lot of the time I get asked the question about like, oh, but I've never had a good girl syndrome. I've been more of like a type A or like overachiever or whatever. And I'm like,
that is good girl syndrome.
Okay. And and I really thought about it again when I was like writing out my story. I was thinking about it because at some point I did that switch, and I was like, okay, like I'm not a good girl. I'm just gonna go for it. Like in my life, I'm gonna go for it for me, right?
Mm.
But then, and like I changed my careers. I changed my career twice, and I went all in. I did a lot of studies, and I was like, well, I'm doing this for me. Like, I'm just. And then when I started, but again, you do this for you. And then you're like, well, I can't take this lunch break because I really have this such an important assignment that I have to do it right now. Or like, I can't take the lunch break because XYZ. You come up with just now with just a different reason
Mm-hmm.
for why you can't really truly prioritize you because you're like, yeah, like I'm prioritizing me, like I'm building my career, whatever. But there's
It
like,
appears like that. That's a superficial band-aid. Hey, I think that's an excuse that makes us feel better, and that's like a very harsh truth that I just said.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I also think that, I really think that sometimes it is a little bit or a lot difficult to separate the voice in our heads from like, is it really my voice or is it the voice of, my mom or the voice of like some peers in high school who told me something at some point,
Yes.
right? Or like someone who bullied you in the
Mm-hmm.
past that you're like, oh, this is like, I have to. But then again, you know how there's the saying, I don't want to butcher it, but there's a saying like if when you have your health, um,
You have your wealth.
no, when you have your health, like everything else matters, but the people, I can't remember. So the idea being is basically when you have your health, you are so focused on everything else.
Mm,
You're like so focused outward. You know what I'm talking
yes.
about?
And then when you don't have your health,
There is not like
nothing else that
nothing else
matters.
matters. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you can't do this.
Yeah.
Like you can't do this anymore. And so for me, when I reached my absolute lowest point, when I was pretty much bedbound for several months, and
Mm,
I couldn't do anything, and I was like, why was I doing all of those things? Like what for? And it really was that pivotal moment when I was like, okay, let's break it down. And it took me really and I would say like the emotional kind of healing and the emotional processing that I had to do to get where I'm at now,
mhm.
which a lot of doctors told me, by the way, that I would never get better.
Wow. It's a bold statement.
Yeah, I've gone to five neurologists, and everyone told me like, sorry, you will never get better. We can manage your symptoms, but you will never
Mm,
recover. And so, and when like in the really dark, dark place where you
yeah.
think, okay, like, oh, okay, I will never recover.
Yeah, you
And
can swear.
thanks, fuck. Uh, yeah, and if you really think about it, and then what is left is really working with your emotional, what is filling you inside? Like,
Mm,
what have you been doing for the last 20, 30 years with your emotional health? How have you been processing things? And really, that's when it came to me. I was like, oh my God.
yeah, I've missed an entire section that is so pivotal to my health.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's so I had a couple things to say and then I was like, okay, let's break these down so I don't forget. Um, I'm curious. So you said, is it really yours? Like, are those beliefs actually yours? Which is interesting because something that I ask people sometimes when we're doing more like somatic type of
Mhm.
sessions is like, is it yours?
Yeah.
And I find that sometimes it's ours, right?
Yep.
It's our core beliefs, which we could argue generally are passed down through generations, but whatever it is, it could be yours.
Yeah.
Is it intergenerational? Meaning, like, did it come from mom? Did it come from grandma? Did it come from the family line? Everybody maybe has struggled with the same issue. And then I think our generation really has this beautiful opportunity because so much stability has been taken care of with variety of things, right? We don't need to go into it, but our generation does have this opportunity to break a lot of that stuff because we now have the awareness about it.
Yeah.
Anyways, is it intergenerational? Is it yours? And then is it societal?
Yeah.
Is the other thing, right? And there's a few other more energetic spaces, but eh, when we look at the belief structures and what's underlying it, I think people often realize, like, oh shit, I don't actually believe that. But I've spent many of my years walking around like a zombie, sleepwalking,
Yeah.
believing X, Y, and Z because I never thought to question. And then when you look at our human needs, we need to belong, otherwise we wouldn't survive, right? I got this cut, let's say I didn't actually, but out in nature by myself, I might not survive that.
Yeah.
Right? If I got it here in the city, we had help taking care of it, like I'm gonna survive. So humans need belonging and groups. And then you look at how that plays out and you're like, I see why people don't question their own belief structures, especially within a family system, because you want to belong, especially within society because you want to belong. And then you look at it and it's like that's too painful to address these belief structures. So I'll just continue operating the way I am. Can I have a supplement, please? Ah.
Exactly. But even like to what to the societal structure, to the family structure, it's like there is a when you look at in my practice, when I look at direct impact of, on people's nutrition, for example, right? A standard situation, you're trying to maybe cut that out. Or you're trying to, try something new for your health. Then you come to a family dinner or a dinner with your friend, and it was like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And people will subconsciously or consciously sometimes bully you into not doing that thing.
Yep. What do you tell your clients of curiosity? Because I have like a whole, I always talk about this when people make change, and then the people that surround them, it feels like they're not supporting them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a few things that I tell them. One of them is make a plan. So have a script of things you're gonna say. And instead of, kind of just stuttering,
Bumbling around because I want to,
but
I'm
then my doctor,
yeah, exactly.
yeah. So
Yeah.
have a plan. Then what I normally do, for example, I am very set on eating a lot of fiber and not, stepping back. So when I'm invited to a dinner where I know there will be no fiber, I'm always going to bring something that has a lot of fiber.
I saw this on your Instagram recently. You're like,
Yeah.
I brought this salad because I knew nobody else would.
Exactly. And that's true. I came, there was no fiber. I'm like, look, guys, I'm feeding you fiber. Enjoy. And
You're welcome.
it was was it delicious?
Yeah, I'm not guessing it was cellulose coagulated in water. Like, I'm sure you made a delicious fiber-rich salad.
Yeah, and it was really simple too. It wasn't like something, from like a French Michelin star restaurant, which is a bunch of chopped, but I mean, whatever.
I mean, you could, but also there's an easy way of doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I always tell my friends there's a really easy way. Like you just need to learn it once, and then you'll take it for the rest of your life.
So true. Rinse and repeat. Once you learn a good recipe, it sticks.
Exactly. So and yeah, so that's kind of like bring it with you. Especially a lot of clients I work with, they do for various reasons need to maybe temporarily, maybe for a long time, eliminate like things like gluten and dairy. And so they'd be like, well, I would come to the dinner and there will be nothing for me, or there will be like very few options. So I say, hey, like you can just be a nice guest, then you bring some like a side dish or something that is, good for you and excludes the ingredients. And honestly, I mean, at this point, it's like if people don't ask you about your, allergies, like it's kind of, I always ask people, I'm like,
yeah, we live in a society where it's very normal for
exactly.
one, if not most people, to be like, I don't eat this.
Exactly. Yeah. And I actually learned, I mean, it was one time when it really slipped. I don't know why. I think I was expecting my husband will ask and he was expecting I will ask.
This really stuck with you, hey?
And yeah, and so and my husband today, not my ex-husband, my husband is dairy and gluten free. He can eat any of those things, but we were hosting people who really wanted to make a really nice lasagna. So we made from scratch, we made dairy-free ricotta, mostly from cashews, a little bit of tofu.
Oh my gosh.
We made dairy-free mozzarella. We made like all of those things. We spent like 2 days cooking this lasagna. And then one of the people who came to the dinner turned out
They couldn't eat nuts.
they couldn't eat nuts. Yeah. And I learned it like it was just one time, and I'm like, okay, from now on,
We ask everybody.
we ask everybody all
Yeah.
the time, even if we know maybe they developed it. I don't know. I'll ask them
We
again.
gotta ask though.
Yeah. But really, like, yeah, just the, having a common courtesy of asking people about this. And I sometimes, I say, look, if people never ask you like about your allergies, maybe go out with them for drinks instead.
Yeah. And by drinks we mean water.
Exactly.
I think, yeah, there you go. A lot of places now serve non-alcoholic options when
Yeah.
you go to bar. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
Because I'll go out with friends sometimes, and I'm like, I would really love a kombucha, and they have it, and I'm like, thank gosh.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say is, often when we make change, it's like we put up a mirror,
Oh, absolutely.
and it forces, in a way, not that we're trying to, but if somebody walks by with a mirror, it forces you to go, oh, my hair today, right? It forces you to, like, which, by the way, I tried because of my thumb injury, so we're gonna roll with it. But it forces you to go, oh my gosh, and look at yourself, regardless if it's your hair or your own habits. And so when you make change, it does allow other people the opportunity to also look inwards, but a lot of people don't want to. And I think that's why it's so uncomfortable, and just understanding that, I think, helps a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. What are your tips? What are your favorites?
I usually have that conversation, just allowing people to gain the awareness of, like, hey,
Yeah.
generally when we make change, this is what it is. And
Not about you, it's about them.
it often is, right? People
Yeah.
look through the world with their own rose-colored glasses or blue biohacking glasses. Whatever it is, people have their own glasses on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I got 2 questions for you before we gotta wrap this one up.
Yep.
The first is, you said that with your story, how it kind of ended was that you realized, oh my gosh, I've totally neglected my emotional health. What were the things, stepwise and like practical tool wise, that you did to actually address that? Because it's a little more woo
Yeah.
in terms of, it wasn't a supplement, it wasn't a dietary plan. You actually had to go and work on yourself. So were there things that you tried that were helpful that you want to share?
Oh my god, I did so many
Yeah, I'm sure you
things.
did. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, and when people ask me like what really helped, I always want to say everything.
Mm.
Like, just every single thing that I did for this kind of fit one little piece of the puzzle, and then the puzzle came together. There is one of this types of uh, therapy, I think. I don't want to butcher it, but just like give a little bit overview. When basically the idea is that for you gotta kind of prepare your mind to be accepting of a change. And you might be preparing that mind for, I don't know, a year, 2 years, 5 years. And then the change itself, like the therapist goes basically into your psyche by talking to you.
Yep.
And just accesses that kind of part of your brain. And the change happens in like 10 seconds.
Wow.
But it takes years to get there.
Do you know what it's called? The type?
I can't remember, but I'm
Yeah,
gonna
we'll
look
link.
up and
We'll
maybe
link it.
link it
Yeah.
into the notes.
Cool.
But basically, so what helped me, first, of course, recognizing.
Awareness.
Awareness. Second is really, I mean, I have to say, I still had to work, like to work properly on your emotional health. Your physical health has to be solid.
Well, it's
because
a container.
Yeah,
right?
it's
Like,
a container.
you need a container to hold fluid. You need to
Exactly.
work on your capacity, your nervous system.
Your-
Shout out to that work.
Yeah.
Prior to even being able to feel emotions. I'm a
Exactly.
huge fan of that. Yeah.
Yeah, because like what if you, I mean, honestly, when I was like hypoglycemic a lot of the time you would confuse like anxiety or bad, or not, sorry, there's no bad emotions whatsoever,
But ones that don't feel comfortable.
hard emotions
Yeah.
you would confuse with like being hypoglycemic and almost passing out from low blood sugar. So you really have to work on that so you can be more present and more actually, in tune with your
Yes.
emotions, as opposed to in tune with your kind of, that baseline, that is like all over the place, your nervous system is
Yeah.
freaking out, you
Yeah.
know. And then of course you have, you know, you need that baseline 100%. And then after that, it's really working on um, recognizing, kind of acknowledging it. And then I've done a few different types of therapies or modalities. So I've done
Love it.
internal family systems. I really love
Mhm.
that one.
That one's incredible.
I think it's incredible because it really breaks that, like,
Where
so
your beliefs come from.
yeah,
Yeah.
where your beliefs comes from. And B, which I love absolutely, is that it breaks down you like into parts, right? Like your emotional self into parts. And so instead of saying like I'm good or I'm bad or I'm anxious,
Yeah.
it gives you this opportunity to say this part in me is anxious.
Yes.
Why is that? Is it a protect? It's a beautiful system. Yeah,
And it's like, why can't we be multifaceted, just human beings?
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
IFS really helped me a lot. Then I just did a lot of like different types of self-exploration. There is this book called Self Therapy that I really like,
Great.
and it just gives you different like it's a book. It's a I think a 400-page book where you read
Okay.
like a tree. It's also within the IFS system, but you read kind of like not prom, sorry, you read like chapters about the system, how it works, like
Mhm.
how your inner self works, and then you kind of do those exercises as well. So it's really a good like practical and educational kind of merging together.
I love that.
And then yeah, I did a lot of things. I did was something that's called the dynamic neural retraining system. So it's
Cool.
something that retrains your brain.
Love, love, love.
But I really have to say that one of the main themes of all of those things
Mm.
have been training the muscle of being like, am I doing this for me or am I doing this for God knows what?
Yeah.
Right? Am I doing this to please someone?
Mhm.
Am I doing this to please? Because again, am I doing this to please my whatever friends, husband, neighbors, or am I doing this to please some hypothetical bully from fifth grade that
Totally.
still speaks in my head?
Yeah.
Right? But who am I doing this for?
Yeah.
And then of course, there'll always be other people who will be like, you have to, you have to, you have to.
Yeah.
And I think at some point when I started taking those people as my teachers and being like, oh, why do I have to exactly?
Yeah.
And just questioning like every I have to. And then it's really, I mean, honestly, it even improved my relationships in
Of course.
a way.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
even
to me, I'm like, yes. But I realize to some people that's probably
yeah.
like 5 steps removed, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also it's like kind of counterintuitive, right? Like why
Yeah.
would me, you know,
You working on
setting
yourself as an
boundaries.
individual
Yeah. Yeah.
would have a domino effect.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And like even setting boundaries with certain people, like some people
Yeah.
will just fall off your list of
Yeah.
friends or whatever, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But with others, really core like receptive of that, and maybe they all also want to, like you said, generational trauma.
Yeah.
Like I talked to my mom about those things, and when I
Mhm.
set boundaries with her, it actually prompted her to set boundaries with her mother, my
This is what I
grandmother.
mean. This is like beautiful healing work. Yeah.
So yeah,
I
that's a
love
very
it. I love
that's
it.
a
I love
very
it.
short way.
Well, we don't have any more time,
I
so.
know, I know.
Well, thank you, Olesia, so much
Thank
for
you.
not only spending however long this was with me, but sharing your story because I know sometimes these things are vulnerable.
Well, you are a perfect person to share this story with because I know
you.
we're on the same wavelength and
I get everything you're saying and it deeply resonates in my body. Yeah. Before we go, do you want to tell people where they can find you?
oh yeah, thank you. So people can find me on probably the most active on Instagram at Olesia Guts Nutrition. I'm also now active on LinkedIn.
Oh, look at you.
Exploring this platform. I'm trying to post every single day, which is interesting. And then I also have a newsletter people can sign up to. So a lot of things to connect. And do you want to tell people how they can find you if they just find you randomly on Spotify?
Randomly on Spotify, yeah. My Instagram is at naturally Larissa. It's where I am most active. I have a LinkedIn, but honestly, I do not use it.
You
Yeah, and I have a newsletter as well, and you can sign up for that on my Instagram. Awesome. All right. Thanks, everybody. Until next time.